Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing fine, doing good. That's good. A humble request to you all who are here on the channel Satrangi Kahaniya or saka555 for the first time. I request you all to subscribe the channel, hit the bell icon, like it if you like the reading of the chapter, comment if you want to see something else on the channel or some other chapter you want to be read. When you subscribe, it gives a boost. It appreciates our effort for bringing more chapters for you. So it's just a humble request, and it helps in growing the channel also for us and for you all. So today I am going to read a class 11 chapter of geography, which is basically chapter 3, and that is drainage system. You have observed water flowing through the rivers, nalas and even channels during rainy season which drain the excess water. Had this channel not been there, large scale flooding would have occurred. Wherever channels are ill-defined or choked, flooding is a common phenomena. I'm also going to read what is written in the box. So the first box that says, flow of water through well-defined channel is known as drainage, and the network of such channels is called a drainage system. The drainage pattern of an area is the outcome of the geological time period, nature and structure of rocks, topography, slope, amount of water flowing and the periodicity of the flow. Do you have a river near your village or city? Have you ever been there for boating or bathing? Is it perennial, means always with water, or ephemeral, meaning water during rainy season and dry otherwise? Do you know that rivers flow in the same direction? You have studied about slopes in the other two textbooks of geography, NCERT 2006, in this class. Can you then explain the reason for water flowing from one direction to the other? Why do the rivers originating from the Himalayas in the northern India and the Western Ghat in the southern India flow towards the east and discharge their water in the Bay of Bengal? A river drains the water collected from a specific area which is called its catchment area. An area drained by a river and its tributaries is called a drainage basin. Now there is another box about important drainage patterns which I am going to read, and then I'll continue with the chapter. Important drainage patterns. Number 1. The drainage pattern resembling the branches of a tree is known as dendritic, the example of which are the rivers of northern plain. Number 2. When the rivers originate from a hill and flow in all directions, the drainage pattern is known as radial. The rivers originating from the Amarkantak range present a good example of it. Number 3. When the primary tributaries of rivers flow parallel to each other and secondary tributaries join them at right angles, the pattern is known as trellis. Number 4. When the rivers discharge their waters from all directions in a lake or depression, the pattern is known as centripetal. Find out some of the patterns in the topo sheet given in chapter 5 of Practical Work in Geography Part 1 NCERT 2006. To continue with the chapter again, with the last line, I'm repeating again. An area drained by a river and its tributaries is called a drainage basin. The boundary line separating one drainage basin from the other is known as the watershed. The catchment of large rivers are called river basins, while those of small rivulets and the rills are often referred to as watersheds. There is, however, a slight difference between a river basin and a watershed. Watersheds are small in area, while the basins cover larger areas. River basins and watersheds are marked by unity. What happens in one part of the basin or watershed directly affects the other parts and the unit as a whole. That is why they are accepted as the most appropriate micro, meso or macro planning regions. Indian drainage system may be divided on various bases. On the basis of discharge of water, orientation to the sea, it may be grouped into number 1, the Arabian Sea drainage, and number 2, the Bay of Bengal drainage. They are separated from each other through the Delhi Ridge, the Aravalis and the Sahyadris. Under bracket, water divide is shown by line in figure 3.1. Nearly 77% of the drainage area consisting of the Ganga, the Brahmaputra, the Mahanadi, the Krishna, etc. is oriented towards the Bay of Bengal, while 23% comprising the Indus, the Narmada, the Tapi, the Mahi and the Periyar systems discharge their waters in the Arabian Sea. On the basis of the size of the watershed, the drainage basins of India are grouped into 3 categories. Major river basins with more than 20,000 square kilometer of catchment area. It includes 14 drainage basins such as the Ganga, the Brahmaputra, the Krishna, the Tapi, the Narmada, the Mahi, the Pennar, the Sabarmati, the Barak, etc. Number 2, medium river basins. Medium river basins with catchment area between 2,000 to 20,000 square kilometer, incorporating 44 river basins such as Kalindi, the Periyar, the Meghna, etc. Number 3, minor river basins. Minor river basins with catchment area of less than 2,000 square kilometer include fairly good number of rivers flowing in the area of low rainfall. If you look at the figure 3.1, you can see that many rivers have their sources in the Himalayas and discharge their waters either in the Bay of Bengal or in the Arabian Sea. Identify these rivers of North India. Large rivers flowing on the peninsular plateau have their origin in the Western Ghats and discharge their waters in the Bay of Bengal. Identify these rivers of the South India. The Narmada and Tapi are 2 large rivers which are exceptions. They, along with many small rivers, discharge their waters in the Arabian Sea. Name these rivers of the western coastal region from the Konkan to the Malabar coast. On the basis of the mode of origin, nature and characteristics, the Indian drainage may also be classified into the Himalayan drainage and the peninsular drainage. Although it has the problem of including the Chambal, the Betwa, the Son, etc., which are much older in age and origin than other rivers that have their origin in the Himalayas, it is the most accepted basis of classification. Hence, this scheme has been followed in this book. Drainage System of India. Indian drainage system consists of a large number of small and big rivers. It is the outcome of the evolutionary process of the three major physiographic units and the nature and characteristics of precipitation. The Himalayan drainage. The Himalayan drainage system has evolved through a long geological history. It mainly includes the Ganga, the Indus, and the Brahmaputra river basins. Since these are fed both by melting of snow and precipitation, rivers of these systems are perennial. These rivers pass through the giant gorges carved out by the erosional activity carried on simultaneously with the uplift of the Himalayas. Besides deep gorges, these rivers also form V-shaped valleys, rapids, and waterfalls in their mountainous course. While entering the plains, they form depositional features like flat valleys, oxbow lakes, floodplains, braided channels, and deltas near the river mouth. In the Himalayan reaches, the course of these rivers is highly tortuous, but over the plains they display a strong meandering tendency and shift their courses frequently. River Kosi, also known as the Sorrow of Bihar, has been notorious for frequently changing the course. The Kosi brings huge quantity of sediments from its upper reaches and deposits it in the plains. The course gets blocked and consequently the river changes its course. Why does the Kosi river bring such huge quantity of sediments from the upper reaches? Do you think that the discharge of the water in the rivers in general and the Kosi in particular remains the same, or does it fluctuate? When does the river course receive the maximum quantity of water? What are the positive and negative effects of flooding? Evolution of the Himalayan drainage. There are differences of opinion about the evolution of the Himalayan rivers. However, geologists believe that a mighty river called Shivalik or Indo-Brahma traversed the entire longitudinal extent of the Himalaya from Assam to Punjab and onwards to Sindh, and finally discharged into the Gulf of Sindh near Lower Punjab during the Miocene period some 5 to 24 million years ago. The remarkable continuity of the Shivalik and its lacustrine origin and alluvial deposits consisting of sands, silt, clay, boulders, and conglomerates support this viewpoint. It is opined that in due course of time, Indo-Brahma river was dismembered into three main drainage systems. 1. The Indus and its 5 tributaries in the western part. 2. The Ganga and its Himalayan tributaries in the central part. And 3. The stretch of the Brahmaputra in Assam and its Himalayan tributaries in the eastern part. The dismemberment was probably due to the Pleistocene upheaval in the western Himalayas, including the uplift of the Potwar Plateau (Delhi Ridge), which acted as the water divide between the Indus and Ganga drainage systems. Likewise, the down thrusting of the Malda Gap area between the Rajmahal Hills and the Meghalaya Plateau during the mid-Pleistocene period diverted the Ganga and the Brahmaputra systems to flow towards the Bay of Bengal. The river systems of the Himalayan drainage. The Himalayan drainage consists of several river systems, but the following are the major river systems. The Indus system. It is one of the largest river basins of the world, covering an area of 11,65,000 square kilometer. In India, it is 3,21,289 square kilometer and a total length of 2,880 kilometer. The Indus, also known as the Sindhu, is the westernmost of the Himalayan rivers in India. It originates from a glacier near Bokhar Chu in the Tibetan region in an altitude of 4,164 meter in the Kailash mountain range. In Tibet, it is known as Singi Khamban or Lion's Mouth. After flowing in the northwest direction between the Ladakh and the Jaskar ranges, it passes through Ladakh and Baltistan. It cuts across the Ladakh range, forming a spectacular gorge near Gilgit in Jammu and Kashmir. It enters into Pakistan near Chilas in the Dardistan region. Find out the area known as Dardistan. The Indus receives a number of Himalayan tributaries such as the Shyok, the Gilgit, the Jaskar, the Hunza, the Nibura, Nabra, the Shigar, the Gasting and the Dras. It finally emerges out of the hills near Attock, where it receives the Kabul River on its right bank. The other important tributaries joining the right bank of Indus are Khurram, the Tochi, the Gomal, the Vibhoa and the Sangar. They all originate in the Suleiman ranges. The river flows southward and receives Panjnad a little above Mithankot. Panjnad is the name given to the 5 rivers of Punjab, namely the Satluj, the Beas, the Ravi, the Chenab and the Jhelum. It finally discharges into the Arabian Sea east of Karachi. The Indus flows in India only through Jammu and Kashmir. The Jhelum, an important tributary of the Indus, arises from a spring at Verinag situated at the foot of the Pir Panjal in the southeastern part of the valley of Kashmir. It flows through the Srinagar and the Wular Lake before entering Pakistan through a deep narrow gorge. It joins the Chenab near Jhang in Pakistan. The Chenab is the largest tributary of the Indus. It is formed by 2 streams, the Chandra and the Bhaga, which joins at Tandi near Kelong in Himachal Pradesh. Hence it is also known as Chandrabhaga. The river flows for 1180 km before entering into Pakistan. The Ravi is another important tributary of the Indus. It rises west of the Rohtang Pass in the Kullu hills of Himachal Pradesh and flows through the Chamba valley of the state before entering Pakistan and joining the Chenab near Sarai Sidhu. It drains the area lying between the southeastern part of the Pir Panjal and Dhauladhar ranges. The Beas is another important tributary of the Indus, originating from the Beas Kund near the Rohtang Pass at the elevation of 4,000 meter above the mean sea level. The river flows through the Kullu valley and forms gorges at Kati and Largi in the Dhauladhar range. It enters the Punjab plains where it meets the Satluj near Harike. The Satluj originates in the Rakshas Tal near Mansarovar at an altitude of 4,555 meter in the Tibet, where it is known as Langshan Khambab. It flows almost parallel to the Indus for about 400 km before entering India and comes out of a gorge at Rupar. It passes through the Shipki La on the Himalayan ranges and enters the Punjab plains. It is an antecedent river. It is very important tributary as it feeds the canal system of the Bhakra Nangal project. The Ganga system. The Ganga is the most important river of the India, both from the point of view of its basin and cultural significance. It rises in the Gangotri glacier near Gaumukh, 3900 meter in the Uttarkashi district of Uttarakhand. Here it is known as the Bhagirathi. It cuts through the central and the lesser Himalayas in narrow gorges. At Devprayag, the Bhagirathi meets the Alaknanda. Hereafter it is known as the Ganga. The Alaknanda has its source in the Satopanth glacier above Badrinath. The Alaknanda consists of the Dhauli and the Vishnu Ganga, which meet at Joshimath or Vishnu Prayag. The other tributaries of Alaknanda, such as the Pindar, joins it at Karna Prayag, where Mandakini or Kali Ganga meets it at Rudra Prayag. The Ganga enters the plains at Haridwar. From here it flows first to the south, then to the southeast and east before splitting into two tributaries, namely the Bhagirathi and the Padma. The river also has a length of 2525 km. It is shared by Uttarakhand 110 km and Uttar Pradesh 1450 km, the Bihar 445 km and West Bengal 520 km. The Ganga basin covers about 8.6 lakh square kilometer area in India alone. The Ganga river system is the largest in India, having a number of perennial and non-perennial rivers originating in the Himalayas in the north and the peninsula in the south, respectively. The Son is its major right bank tributary. The important left bank tributaries are the Ram Ganga, the Gomati, the Ghagra, the Gandak, the Kosi and the Mahananda. The river finally discharges itself into the Bay of Bengal near the Sagar Island. The Yamuna, the westernmost and the longest tributary of the Ganga, has its source in the Yamunotri glacier on the western slopes of the Bandarpanch range, 6,316 meter. It joins the Ganga at Prayag in Allahabad. It is joined by the Chambal, the Sindh, the Betwa and the Kane on its right bank, which originates from the peninsular plateau, while the Hindan, the Rind, the Singar, the Varun, etc. join it on its left bank. Much of its water feeds the western and eastern Yamuna and the Agra canals for irrigation purposes. The Chambal rises near Mao in the Malwa plateau of Madhya Pradesh and flows northwards through a gorge upwards of Kota in Rajasthan, where the Gandhi Sagar Dam has been constructed. From Kota, it travels down to Bundi, Savai Madhopur and Dholpur and finally joins the Yamuna. The Chambal is famous for its bandland topography called the Chambal Ravines. The Gandak comprises two streams, namely Kali Gandak and Trishul Ganga. It rises in the Nepal Himalayas between the Dhaulagiri and Mount Everest and drains the central part of Nepal. It enters the Ganga plain in Champaran district of Bihar and joins the Ganga at Sonpur near Patna. The Ghagra originates in the glaciers of Mapcha Chungo. After collecting the waters of its tributaries Tila, Seti and Beri, it comes out of the mountain, cutting a deep gorge at Shishapani. The river Sarda, Kali or Kali Ganga joins it in the plain before it finally meets the Ganga at Chhapra. The Kosi is an antecedent river with its source to the north of Mount Everest in Tibet, where its main stream Arun rises. After crossing the central Himalayas in Nepal, it is joined by the Son Kosi from the west and the Tamur Kosi from the east. It forms Sapt Kosi after uniting with the river Arun. The Ramganga is comparatively a small river rising in the Garhwal hills near Gairsen. It changes its course to the southwest direction after crossing the Shivalik and enters into the plains of Uttar Pradesh near Najibabad. Finally, it joins the Ganga near Kannauj. The Damodar occupies the eastern margins of the Chota Nagpur plateau, where it flows through a rift valley and finally joins the Hooghly. The Barakar is its main tributary. Once known as the Sorrow of Bengal, the Damodar has been now tamed by the Damodar Valley Corporation, a multi-purpose project. The Sarda or Saryu River rises in the Milam Glacier in the Nepal Himalayas, where it is known as the Goriganga. Along the Indo-Nepal border, it is called Kali or Chowk, where it joins the Ghagra. The Mahananda is another important tributary of the Ganga rising in the Darjeeling hills. It joins the Ganga as its last left bank tributary in the West Bengal. The Son is a large south bank tributary of the Ganga originating in the Amarkantak plateau. After forming a series of waterfalls at the edge of the plateau, it reaches Ara west of Patna to join the Ganga. The Brahmaputra system. The Brahmaputra, one of the largest rivers of the world, has its origin in the Chimangyungdung glacier of the Kailash range near the Mansarovar lake. From here, it traverses eastward longitudinally for a distance of nearly 1200 km in a dry and flat region of southern Tibet, where it is known as the Sangpo, which means the purifier. The Rango Sangpo is the major right bank tributary of this river in Tibet. It emerges as a turbulent and dynamic river after carving out a deep gorge in the central Himalayas near Namcha Barwa, 7,755 meter. The river emerges from the foothills under the name of Siang or Dihang. It enters India west of Sadia town in Arunachal Pradesh. Flowing southwest, it receives its main left bank tributaries viz. Dibang or Sikang and Lohit. Thereafter, it is known as the Brahmaputra or Brahmaputra. The Brahmaputra receives numerous tributaries in its 750 km long journey through the Assam Valley. Its major left bank tributaries are the Burhi, Dihing and Dhansari, whereas the important right bank tributaries are the Subansiri, Kameng, Manas and Sankosh. The Subansiri, which has its origin in Tibet, is an antecedent river. The Brahmaputra enters into Bangladesh near Dhubri and flows southward. In Bangladesh, the Tista joins it on its right bank, from where the river is known as the Jamuna. It finally merges with river Padma, which falls in the Bay of Bengal. The Brahmaputra is well known for floods, channel shifting and bank erosion. This is due to the fact that most of its tributaries are large and bring large quantity of sediments owing to heavy rainfall in its catchment area. The peninsular drainage system. The peninsular drainage system is older than the Himalayan one. This is evident from the broad, largely graded shadow valleys and the maturity of the rivers. The Western Ghats running close to the western coast act as the water divide between the major peninsular rivers, discharging their water in the Bay of Bengal, and as a small rivulets joining the Arabian Sea. Most of the major peninsular rivers except Narmada and Tapi flow from west to east. The Chambal, the Sindh, the Betwa, the Kain, the Son, originating in the northern part of the peninsula, belong to the Ganga river system. The other major river systems of the peninsular drainage are the Mahanadi, the Godavari, the Krishna and the Kaveri. Peninsular rivers are characterized by fixed course, absence of meanders and non-perennial flow of water. The Narmada and the Tapi, which flow through the Rift Valley, are, however, exceptions. The evolution of peninsular drainage system. Three major geological events in the distant past have shaped the present drainage systems of peninsular India. First, subsidence of the western flank of the peninsula leading to its submergence below the sea during the early tertiary period. Generally, it has disturbed the symmetrical plan of the river on either side of the original watershed. Number 2, upheaval of the Himalayas, when the northern flank of the peninsular block was subjected to subsidence and the consequent trough faulting. The Narmada and the Tapi flow in trough faults and fill the original cracks with their detritus materials. Hence, there is a lack of alluvial and deltaic deposits in these rivers. Number 3, slight tilting of the peninsular block from northwest to the southeastern direction gave orientation to the entire drainage system towards the Bay of Bengal during the same period. River systems of the peninsular drainage. There are a large number of river systems in the peninsular drainage. A brief account of the major peninsular river system is given below. The Mahanadi rises near Sihawa in the Raipur district of Chhattisgarh and runs through Odisha to discharge its water into the Bay of Bengal. It is 851 km long and its catchment area spreads over 1.42 lakh square kilometer. Some navigation is carried on in the lower course of this river. 53% of the drainage basin of this river lies in the Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, while 47% lies in Odisha. The Godavari is the largest peninsular river system. It is also called the Dakshin Ganga. It rises in the Nasik districts of Maharashtra and discharges its water into the Bay of Bengal. Its tributaries run through the state of Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Odisha and Andhra Pradesh. It is 1465 km long with a catchment area spreading over 3.13 lakh square kilometer. 49% of this lies in Maharashtra, 20% in Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, and the rest in Andhra Pradesh. The Penganga, the Indravati, the Pranahit and the Manjra are its principal tributaries. The Godavari is subjected to heavy floods in its lower reaches to the south of Polavaram, where it forms a picturesque gorge. It is navigable only in the deltaic stretch. The river, after Rajmundri, splits into several branches forming a large delta. The Krishna is the second largest east flowing peninsular river which rises near Mahabaleshwar in Sahyadri. Its total length is 1401 km. The Koyna, the Tungabhadra and the Bhima are its major tributaries. Of the total catchment area of the Krishna, 27% lies in Maharashtra, in Karnataka and 29% in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. The Kaveri rises in Brahmagiri Hills, 1341 meter of Kogadu district in Karnataka. Its length is 800 km and it drains an area of 81,155 square km. Since the upper catchment area receives rainfall during the southwest monsoon season, that is summer, and the lower part during the northwest monsoon season, that is winter, the river carries water throughout the year with comparatively less fluctuation than the other peninsular rivers. About 3% of the Kaveri basin falls in Kerala, 41% in Karnataka and 56% in Tamil Nadu. Its important tributaries are the Kabini, the Bhavani and the Amravati. The Narmada originates on the western flank of the Amarkantak plateau at a height of about 1057 meter. Flowing in the Rift Valley between the Satpura in the south and the Vidyan range in the north, it forms a picturesque gorge in marble rocks and Dhwandhar waterfall near Jabalpur. After flowing a distance of about 1312 km, it meets the Arabian Sea south of Bharuch, forming a broad 27 km long estuary. Its catchment area is about 98,796 square km. The Sardar Sarovar project has been constructed on the river. There are 2 boxes below. I am reading it now and then I will continue the chapter. First box, collect information about Narmada River Conservation Mission named Namami Devi Narmada and discuss with your peers. The second box says, teachers may explain the following examples: Periyar Diversion Scheme, Indira Gandhi Canal Project, Kurnool Khuddappa Canal, Byas Satluj Link Canal, Ganga Kaveri Link Canal. Now to continue with the chapter. The Tapi is the other important westward flowing river. It originates from Multani in the Betul district of Madhya Pradesh. It is 724 km long and drains an area of 65,145 square km. Nearly 79% of its basin lies in Maharashtra, 15% in Madhya Pradesh and the remaining 6% in Gujarat. Luni is the largest river system of Rajasthan, west of Aravalli. It originates near the Pushkar in 2 branches, that is Saraswati and the Sabarmati, which join with each other at Govindgarh. From here the river comes out of Aravalli and is known as Luni. It flows towards the west till Telwara and then takes a southwest direction to join the run of Kutch. The entire river system is ephemeral. Extent of usability of river water. The rivers of India carry huge volumes of water per year, but it is unevenly distributed both in time and space. There are perennial rivers carrying water throughout the year, while the non-perennial rivers have very little water during the dry season. During the rainy season, much of the water is washed in floods and flows down to the sea. Similarly, when there is a flood in one part of the country, the other area suffers from drought. Why does this happen? Is it the problem of availability of water resource or that of its management? Can you suggest some measures to mitigate the problems of floods and droughts simultaneously occurring in different parts of the country? Can these problems be solved or minimized by transferring the surplus water from one basin to the water deficit basins? Do we have some schemes of inter-basin linkage? Have you read in the newspapers about the linking of rivers? Do you think that digging a canal is enough to transfer water from the Ganga basin to the peninsular river? What is the major problem? Consult chapter 2 of this book and find out the difficulties posed by the unevenness of the terrain. How can the water be lifted from the plain area to the plateau area? Is there sufficient surplus water in the North Indian rivers which can be transferred on a regular basis? Organize a debate on the whole issue and prepare a write-up. How do you rank the following problems in using the river water? Number 1, no availability in sufficient quantity. Number 2, river water pollution. Number 3, load of silt in the river water. Number 4, uneven seasonal flow of water. Number 5, river water disputes between states. Number 6, shrinking of channels due to the extension of settlements towards the Thalweg. Why are the rivers polluted? Have you seen the dirty waters of cities entering into the rivers? Where do the industrial effluents and waste get disposed of? Most of the cremation grounds are on the banks of rivers, and the dead bodies are sometimes thrown in the rivers. On the occasion of some festivals, the flowers and statues are immersed in the rivers. Large-scale bathing and washing of clothes also pollute river waters. How can the rivers be made pollution-free? Have you read about Ganga Action Plan or about a campaign for cleaning the Yamuna at Delhi? Collect materials on schemes for making rivers pollution-free and organize the materials in a write-up. Thank you for listening to this chapter. It is very minutely been written, and it's good that you get an overall idea of the drainage system of India. Do subscribe to this channel. Gives a strong boost to us to create more chapters for you. Like it, comment. If you want something else to be read for you, share it to your friends and spread the message. Thank you very much.